All right, this is a layout update for February 20th, 2022. Been a while since I did an update. Um, been busy with winter things. Installed a new stove and microwave in the house, and been dealing with a lot of winter weather, which I'm sure all of us have. So, a couple things. One, build a couple Fast Tracks crossovers here, and these are my 3D printed ties. And just to kind of talk about that for a second, I build the turnouts and the switches right here, and you can see some of my tie pieces I made. And just glue those in. I print them in sections that are made to mimic the Fast Tracks pieces. So I just kind of glue them in place under the rails and paint it all together. So this is a number 8 right-hand crossover. Haven't laid a lot of track. I don't think I've laid any track since my last update, but I've been busy building bench work mostly. And one thing I did start doing was I started screwing down the transfer table. And I got the first section in here. And yes, this is ugly. To back up, there's a piece of cabinet grade plywood under the transfer table that has grooves cut in it for accepting the plastic reinforcing ribs under the table. So I'm putting these number 4 flathead screws in to pull it down flat to that plywood. That plywood's bolted in from the bottom, so I could always take the whole thing out as a unit if I ever wanted to. And my plan is to go back and kind of putty over all of these screw heads, or I might just try getting some styrene and laying in sheets the whole length, which there's a YouTuber out there, CSX Mad, is an amazing channel. And if you haven't checked out his videos, you should. And that's what he did on his. But these old Walthers, and this is, not their latest series. This is the older series. They're flimsy and they're warped, and you got to come up with a way to keep it all rigid and flat, or it's just never going to be good. All right, moving on. I did pick up another set of F units from a gentleman named Keith in Erie, Pennsylvania. Nice guy. Got to hang out with him for an hour or so and chatted. But picked up a nice set of Stewart A and B set. This is DC only right now. B unit's still a dummy. I'll probably leave the B unit as a dummy. I got another B unit here. And I'll upgrade to TCS DCC. And got an Atherin AB set sitting on the turntable there. And gosh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what I've got for F units now, but I probably have 2 ABBA sets and an ABA set, and then maybe another odd and end A or B unit floating around. All right, moving on. Here's the kind of the big reveal since the last time we chatted. Bench work for the yard is really coming along. Be 6 8-foot sections to get down the wall, and I've got 4 of them built. And material all cut, kind of make myself kits, if you want to think of it that way, for a 5th section here. So another week or 2, and I'll have the bench work for the entire yard done. And to kind of walk back through how this is going to work, sorry I'm moving you around here. And let me pause for a second. If any of you know me well, Betty was extremely sick here a couple weeks ago, which is part of why I haven't gotten more done. I mean, when I say extremely sick, I think we're really lucky she's still with us. She was in a bad way, but she's up, she's about, she's doing great, and kind of like nothing ever happened. So happy to have my chief engineer back on the job and down here helping me. All right, back to layout. So on the first deck here, coming through Greenville, we'll go into Shenango Yard back in that corner, coming around the corner, and then the helix will be in this back corner here. So the whole south end of the railroad pretty much is the upper deck. So you'll go all the way around the south end of the railroad. In fact, that'll be Butler on the upper deck there. Come back down the helix across here, have lift out section for the door, and this wall I think is going to be one of the coolest scenes in the layout. This wall will be a 12-foot long version of the Allegheny River Bridge, and I just can't wait till someday I get to actually build it. I'll just have to settle for a mock-up for now. But coming across the Allegheny River Bridge, this will be North Bessemer Yard on this end. And the way I've got the layout designed right now, North Bessemer and Conneaut join. So they're actually the same yard. And I did that so you could run the layout as point-to-point or continuous run. So somewhere in here is the mythical transition of you're in North Bessemer and you're back to Conneaut. So this end definitely being Conneaut with the harbor, and some of the stuff I think I've showed last time where I have the harbor and the New York Central Underpass with Conneaut Creek, and the Nickel Plate Overpass, kind of working around here to Route 6N, the Pennsylvania Railroad, Lexington Road, Ordock Road, and into I'll have a small yard here to represent Cranesville. Kind of, I guess, more what I want to talk about is the bottom deck here, which is only like 2 feet off the floor, is the Girard branch. And I really kind of changed my mind as I've been building and seeing it in real life, how this is going to work. So starting from the tower here, this switch lead, the little gap I left in the benchwork here, will be the beginning of the Erie branch, which will wrap down around in front of the benchwork here, dropping down. Be a level crossing here at Subway Street, which I know isn't the way it is in real life, but hey, you make compromises in modeling. There'll be a helix that kind of goes back and forth between the walls. In fact, 2 little black rectangles you can see there is the windows I left in the wall for the helix to pass back and forth. That helix will drop out over here, and coming into this will be Platea on the lower level, Elk Creek, and then this straightaway I think I'll make Girard, complete with Mark's Toys and whatnot coming along. And I think this whole wall here I'm going to set up for Wallace Junction. And the reason I wanted to give so much length to it is because I think Wallace will be a beginning and termination point for a lot of my mixed freights and whatnot. But then coming around this, underneath here, I think this scene is going to be Erie Forge. And I'm not really sure how I want to handle the supports yet, but I thought about maybe disguising these as supports inside the building. Like we're inside the forge and looking out through the building and the tracks on the other side. Maybe. I'm thinking about that a lot yet. But then I've got about a 20-foot run here where I set the supports in about 13 inches back. So I've got 13-inch wide by, what did I just say, 18-20 feet. And this is going to be 12th Street. So the Erie station will be kind of at the other end. I'll have, the tracks along the street with Bucyrus and stuff along the back. And probably I'll use the gaps in the supports to extend the sidings inside the building. And then beyond that, you can see the last couple supports there I moved to the front because that'll be all hidden staging beyond that. So kind of just seeing how I built this here. Yes, Betty, everyone loves you. I have these 2x4s that I've got secured into the concrete with a couple 90-degree angles and Tapcons. And then the upper deck supported, with some 2x2s. This is all 1x4 construction in 7/16 OSB. The price of lumber right now is just ridiculous. And it's not only what you pay for, it's what you get. So trying to pull all this stuff nice and square and level is really, really difficult. I'm having pretty good luck, but it takes some work. But right now, for sake of conversation, enough 1x4 in OSB to build an 8-foot section of this. I picked up a set Saturday. It was $202, which I just can't believe it. I'm in total shock over that. But on a project like this, you can't let that slow you down. Well, maybe you let it slow you down, but you can't let it stop you. Anyway, kind of last thought here for the week. Here was the fast track crossover that we had in our hands earlier. And I'm thinking that that's going to go right about here. So, sorry I'm weaving you around so much here. My thinking here is, as you're coming into Conneaut, you'll go through these crossovers. So I'll have a left-hand crossover, duck under the nickel plate, and then a right-hand crossover. And maybe I'll think about changing those around, if I want, which one I want where. But I guess the idea being that regardless of, where you come in or out of the yard or want to go in or out of the yard coming in, that you'll have an opportunity to cross over. And that's not only thinking that from a yard perspective, but any train I'd have coming out of the yard, if I'd be on, the inside track here, and I'd want to cross over to work Cranesville, I'd have to have a crossover there for that too, because the next crossover I've got planned is at CE there. So definitely wanting to think through how all that's going to work operationally, from what it'll be like actually running trains down here. All right, well, I've blathered on long enough. I think my plans for the week here is try to get at least one more 8-foot section built. I want to paint the top of the yard here all light gray and start, I've got it all designed in any rail, and I want to start transferring that track plan. I'll probably just do it with a Sharpie and a ruler. Oh, I know one other thing I wanted to talk about. Construction technique. So, there's parts of the layout that I have 1x4 with 2 layers of foam. There's parts of the layout that I have 1x4 with 1 layer of foam. There's parts of the layout I've built with 1x4 with just plywood. And it might look like I'm just doing this haphazardly and, kind of whatever I feel like doing that day. But there really is some method to the madness here. So if I want to go, let me just start here so I don't walk back and forth. So along Conneaut Creek, I needed 2 layers of foam, to be able to get the contour of the creek and the profile of the tracks and everything. Along the peninsula here, I went with just plywood only because I couldn't really think about anything I wanted contoured into the scenery other than Subway Street. So that's how I built this here. And I did that to maximize headroom to the lower level, so you'd be able to really see well. So I sacrificed that a little over here to get the scenery that I wanted. And Wallace is more or less going to be staging anyway, where you might actually have scenery and work, Gerard and Platia. Same with the yard. It's just a yard. It's just going to be flat and just putting down lots of tracks. So didn't see any reason to mess with foam. Just go directly on the wood there. I know there's probably lots of people that think I'd be better off with foam, whatever, but this is kind of my traditional technique here of layouts I've built in the past. I've got a level of comfort with it, and I know it works good for me. And then, of course, I had a couple layers of foam here to be able to start doing the swamp for Hartstown, and I got to move these buildings one of these days. All these buildings are just sitting here. They don't belong here. And then the last thought of what I did construction-wise was in the engine terminal, I just have one 1-inch layer of foam. And I wanted that 1-inch layer of foam so I could do, you know, the pits for ash pit, turntable, transfer table, all that good stuff without having to fight with plywood and, you know, have some nice easy stuff to cut. But I also needed maximum headspace to be able to work in my TV and entertainment system that I wanted to have down here. And I think that's about it for this week. So hopefully another couple weeks I'll get some more bench work built and I'll get tracks running the length of the yard. And I'll be down to, you know, at least one room that you can see everything in one scene to connect the lower level. And I'll call that a silver spike, getting the lower level done. So that'll be good progress, and maybe next winter we'll work the second level. So till next time.